whatever you do, do not buy one of these. This is a Ford Courier, well, actually a Mazda. I believe it's a B2600 January 2000. It's a 2.5 litre WLT motor, and this is the most unreliable vehicle I've ever owned. Since I bought it, I have had to change the starter motor, made by Mitsubishi. They're fucking shit. The inlet manifold warped. The bearing on the air conditioner died. I mean, it's looking like this because the gearbox died in September 2018. It's now January 2020. So I have bought another Ute, which coincidentally is a double ram tipper, just like this one, to get the gearbox out. But unfortunately I hurt myself at work and I developed an autoimmune disease called idiopathic brachial neuritis, and I can't use my arm, not very well, and not without taking mega doses of opioids every day. So another thing that went, one of these hoses split. I can't remember exactly which one. I bought all three, but I haven't changed the one down there yet. I will do that when I change the gearbox. If I change it, I might have to pay some money to do that, what with my arm being out of commission. So, and it chews glow plugs like you wouldn't believe. Actually had one snap off in there. Number one glow plug snapped, so this only has 3 working glow, well, none of the glow plugs work at the moment. They all need replacing, so they've got to be replaced. The radiator died. I parked the vehicle in Audi's car park in Hamilton, and when I walked out I returned to a massive green waterfall. It just let go the top tank here and the coolant was just pouring out. And trying to think what else. Oh yeah, that's right, I've had to replace the bushes in the top wishbone. Those bushes back there, in there, they die. I think that was about 130,000 Ks they died at, which apparently is pretty good. You only get about 80,000 if you use these in the paddock, and that's where this was an ex-Southern Grampian Shire vehicle, had never left Hamilton. I don't believe it had ever gone out of third gear, because third gear sounded like it was going to fall out, and it's had gearbox issues since I bought it. Didn't like changing back down into second. So yeah, the third gear. Oh yeah, and that's a new clutch, master cylinder, and the slave cylinder had to be redone. That was a real pain. Just kept I lost all gears at the lights, couldn't select gears, the slave cylinder had died. I fixed the slave cylinder, and because the slave cylinder was good, it put pressure on the master cylinder, killed the master cylinder. I bought a master cylinder kit, but it was nothing like what was inside the master cylinder, so I had to go and buy a master cylinder, and the master cylinder was cheaper than the kit, so ended up with a kit. It cost me money for this stupid kit, and I couldn't even use it. It's money just thrown away. So yeah, but otherwise it's just had regular servicing. I've changed my belt at the 100,000 intervals, so because I didn't want that to die. And I also had to put a new intercooler, because as you can see, and this has only done one trip to Adelaide, you can see all the damage to the cooling fin, so I have to rig up some sort of protection to stop this dying again and causing overheating. I had overheating. Oh, that's right, the thermostat went after the radiator. It was still getting hot going up hills. Turns out the intercooler was not cooling adequately, so temperature's fine now, but yeah, I have to prevent that damage occurring to the fins of the intercooler. They just get bent over, and then the air doesn't flow through, so it doesn't do any cooling anymore. So I have to do something about that. But yeah, don't buy one of these. They're not very reliable, and unfortunately I can't afford to update, so I'm just going to have to persist with it. Thankfully the other Ute I bought has everything I've replaced. It's had replaced too, except the intercooler. But he replaced the radiator. There's a new radiator in it. There's a new starter motor in it. It has a head with 4 glow plugs that come out and go back in. So I will change the head over, rebuild the injectors, put the other head on this car, and hopefully get this head repaired, because this head will be better because it's done 100,000 less Ks. So I want to keep this head, but yeah, yep. I strongly recommend you do not buy these Mazdas / Fords. If this wasn't a tipper, I'd have arseholed it ages ago. So, and if I had money. But that's what happens when you're on Newstart. You don't have money.